Today's date is Tuesday, the 25th of February, 2025. We're here for the oral history program, and my name is Jacob Stickle, the archival assistant here in Warren County. And I'm here with
Deputy Chris Cresap, Warren County Sheriff's Office.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
So, that is your official title now?
Yes, Deputy Sheriff, yes.
All right. Is there any little caveats to that? Because I know there's little titles everybody has.
Not really.
Fair enough, fair enough. When and where were you born?
I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, 1968, February 15th.
All right. Well, you're about my father's age, a little bit younger than too.
Don't say that.
No, you're fine. I'm just I'm just surprised you're retiring this early, you know?
I just turned 57.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And where did you grow up anyway? Did you grow up in Cincinnati?
Cincinnati area, yes. Grew up there my whole life.
All right. You live there too, or?
Yes, I currently live in Claremont County, which is only about 20 minutes east of Cincinnati, so you might as well say the same area. Yeah.
It's all suburb, right?
Pretty much.
What jobs did you have prior to working for Warren County?
Well, I actually used to do a totally different job before being a deputy sheriff. I was an industrial electrician.
Oh.
Yes.
Did you do vocational school too?
No, but I worked in a lot of companies, and back in those days, work was not really stable back then. So there was a lot of layoffs, and there was a lot of companies moving out of state, and I ended up traveling around to a couple of different places. And prior to doing that, I was in the United States Air Force. I was a security policeman.
Oh, wow.
So that kind of leads me back in the direction of where I'm at now. In my family, there's a lot of police officers. Uncles, brothers, grandfather.
Yeah.
So kind of staying in the same area.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I have a friend growing up that his father was an officer in Dayton. So I heard about that all the time. And so why did you come back to security?
During that time frame with job stability, being an electrician, it just wasn't stable. So, I said maybe I should go back to being a police officer, because that's a pretty stable job. You're probably not going to get laid off. At least I hadn't heard of any cops getting laid off back then.
No.
So I went to the police academy with my younger brother, and we both became police officers. My older brother was already a police officer.
Holy cow.
Well, it was kind of interesting, because back in that time frame, I had applied here in a couple other departments who were all hiring, and it was the race of who came back with an offer first. And
who can get there
Warren
fastest.
County came in second.
It was the elevator's going off today.
That's okay.
But is your older brother in a different county too?
My older brother just retired last year.
Good for
And he's
him.
a canine handler, and he retired from the city of Fairfield.
Ah.
The interesting point with him is he started here at the Warren County Sheriff's Office. I got hired on at the Sheriff's Office, and we both worked on the same crew.
That's
Isn't that
really
interesting?
Cool. That's interesting.
Very interesting.
And it sounds like you guys are pretty competitive too. So
Yes, you could say that. We are.
Oh man. And your younger brother, is he?
He's no longer a police officer now, but he had went to work in 2 different police departments before he went into the medical field. A surgical tech. I don't know how he went from being a police officer to a surgical tech, but that's what he wanted to do.
Surgical tech.
Yeah, they prepare the doctor's equipment for surgeries.
Right.
They prep it for surgeries. That's what he does.
Goodness, that's a leap. I can't stretch any
Big
of that
jump.
over. Yeah. Well, that's one way to do it, I suppose. And you mean, and through your time here, you've always been part of the sheriff's office?
Yes, in March of '99 is when I applied here at the sheriff's office. And I've been here ever since. My last day's Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be here 26 years.
All
Yes.
right.
And my previous police department to Warren County, I worked for the Department of Williamsburg Police Department in Claremont County, because when I was at the academy, you had to have your certification held with someone, and I worked there for 2 years while I was waiting to get a full-time position.
I gotcha.
And that's when I came to Warren County. And it was a different time frame then, back then.
Fair enough. And I remember talking to, I believe her name is Lavina. Is that how you pronounce it?
Oh, Lavina. Yeah.
Lavina.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. And that's what I.
She started around the same time as me.
Did she?
She did.
Well, she was really nice over the phone and was recommending to get in touch with both of you guys too. Ewan Hammonds, who's also retiring.
Yes, yes, and he came in after me. He came in 2000, right after I did.
Okay.
In '99, when I started with the sheriff's office, they were hiring a lot of deputies to replace the old deputies that were phasing out, and they were retiring like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a massive hiring spree.
You're bringing a new cohort.
Bringing in a new workforce, yes, and I was in the beginning of that.
Oh, okay.
In Warren County, like I said, it was going through a lot of changes back then. Population was a lot lower.
Yeah.
There wasn't as many homes and businesses here. There's a lot of barren land, like in District 4 down south and down in the Kings Island area, that now you can't look in any direction and not see a building, an apartment, or a business of some type. There was nothing there when I started.
Yeah, it really has built up.
It really has.
Oh my goodness. And I think, I'm trying to remember the statistics, maybe 100,000 people coming in since 2000.
Mm-hmm. And I worked with the old deputies that were before me, and you would hear them talk, and they would talk about how Kings Island had dirt roads.
Oh,
now just imagine that for a minute. Think about that. A dirt road down where Kings Island's at.
Wow.
Fields Erdel used to be a dirt road.
Mm. They were just talking about the good old days like that, huh?
Some of those guys are still around. Matter of fact, one of them still works here as a bailiff for juvenile court, Gary Miller. He was a detective in Deerfield, and he could tell you all about how that area was back then.
Okay, I'll be sure to
he would be somebody to talk to.
Absolutely. I feel like his name's come across my table a couple times, too.
He's been connected with Warren County for a long time.
I feel like I see that pretty often, too. A lot of people have to stick around. Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear from me. It gets me a lot of new candidates coming through here. So why Warren County?
Well, I knew absolutely nothing about Warren County when I applied for a police job. When they told me that Warren County was hiring, I'm like, where's Warren County? Never heard of it. But the very minute you mentioned Kings Island, then now everybody knows where Warren County's at. So
absolutely.
I applied not knowing anything about the county, just the general size, and I'm glad I did. Been here 26 years.
That's a good sign for me. I knew Kings Island too coming through, and I'm like, okay, no, I can work down here.
Yep.
And was it always located? Well, I suppose you got the new sheriff's office now. How was
the old sheriff's office? Very small building. When I started working there, I could tell, hey, everything is undersized here. They're busting at the seams because I got hired in a group of about 40 to 50 deputies. That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
And we're talking probably within a 4-month range. That's how many people were leaving, and they were bringing new people in. So I was in an important time, if you will, with the sheriff's office where they were changing people out.
Very pivotal. Right?
Yes, and you could tell the growing in all the departments of Warren County was happening everywhere. They were busting at the seams.
Yeah. I remember talking to Larry, I believe, and he was talking about the conversions they were trying to do to maximize the amount of space in that jail.
Right, and the old sheriff's building was small. Our squad room was real tiny, real tiny. The jail wasn't that big. I believe it housed 177 people then.
Oh,
the old jail did.
That's not a lot.
Pretty small.
It's pretty small.
Now what we got now.
I believe it was 74 is when it was initially created.
70, you know what? I think it was 79, I think. It was 70 something, I know that.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember now because the building's gone, and I used to see the plaque on the wall when you go into jail when it was built.
Yeah.
It was at the main entrance. I think you guys have it now, probably.
I hope we do. If not, we have little bits that are random out of that jail. We have a control board back there.
Right.
Of just
that's the old control board I used to look at all the time going into the jail. Yeah, that's neat.
Man, if we can, we usually like to do a thumbnail to put on YouTube, but we can put the control board behind you. We'll figure it out later. If you want to do something like that. And what were some of your daily tasks and duties, would you say?
When I started with the sheriff's office, I was in the county road patrol. And pretty much traveled all around the county with the exception of the Mason Deerfield area. That had a post down there of its own. So I was in County Road Patrol. And I even bought a bio sheet for me. Here, I can tell you basically where I was at. It's hard to remember dates and times and stuff, so I went ahead and printed it off. Let's see, I started in County Road Patrol. Let's see the date on that. I left County Road Patrol in 2001, and I went to Deerfield Township. Now that's the Mason Deerfield area down in Kings Island area.
Okay.
And then I went back to the County Road Patrol in 2002. Then I went back to Deerfield. I wanted to go back down there again. I went down there in 2009.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I left in 2009 to go to the Court Services Division in 2014. And I've been there since today's day.
I was wondering about that.
Yes.
The initial research I was doing over, you mentioned that while you were doing different patrols, and I was like, okay, cool. I thought he was just sent over there by Court Services.
Well, Warren County is large enough to where you can go to different posts and areas. There was a couple places I didn't go in the sheriff's office that I could have, but I just wasn't interested in going into those areas.
Fair enough.
I bounced between Deerfield and County Road and then in the Court Services. So.
I get you.
Yeah.
Just finding your niche.
Well, the schedule's great, working in Court Services Monday through Friday, weekends off, holidays. That makes it nice when you're working in this career field.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's just being at the beck and call of, anybody
Right.
giving you a good
Right.
radio.
And I've had a good time working there. There's a good group of people there that I work with.
I mean, I've talked to quite a few of them. They're really good. They're good. So if you're just on your patrols, what would your daily tasks be there?
We dealt with everything. From running traffic, burglaries, domestics, criminal damagings, bar fights, you name fires, you name it. I have got to see a large spectrum of this job working at Warren County over the years. I think I've seen just about everything you could see. Not too many things I didn't come across. Some of it being interesting, some of it you don't want to see, but that's part of the job that comes with it,
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people think Warren County's a quiet, sleepy county in Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
It's not.
No.
And as the years go, we're busier and busier and busier, and of course, when you have more people, you have more crime.
That's just statistics there.
Yes. So I've definitely come across a lot of things. A lot of good things, a lot of bad things.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good people in Warren County. So that's something else too that a lot of people don't mention, that the good people of Warren County run across a lot of them.
Absolutely. And I remember something that I believe Larry Simpson said, that if you just meet a lot of people the worst day of their lives.
We see people at their worst a lot of times. Yeah. That is correct.
Yeah.
That's a statement that bears truth.
I believe in some of the stories I'm hearing, and I'm thinking, that's goes in with government, goes in with police officers, and goes in with people who are prosecutors. Yeah.
And meeting all the other agencies, the other police departments, the fire departments, the volunteers, the list goes on and on and on. I don't think you really realize how many people you talk to and deal with till you retire.
And then they're all coming to the party, and
and you think back and go, wow, all those people. A lot of people.
Oh man. Is there any other specific duties or tasks you'd like to highlight? Because I know it's a variety.
I think my best time at the Warren County Sheriff's Office was when I worked at the County Road Patrol, because of the vast area that we covered and stuff, and the different types of activities that I would get into. I did a lot of drug enforcement, so drug enforcement was important to me back in the day when I was in County Road. We had problems then with meth labs and stuff like that, so that was my niche. That's what I like to do.
Oh yeah. And I'm sure you had a lot of fun looking at the Breaking Bad TV show coming out.
It wasn't out then.
I'm sure that would have been 2000 something. Well, shoot. What is something that people don't usually know about your position?
Well, to tell you the truth, outside of working at the Warren County Sheriff's Office, with police officers have a family of policemen that they see all the time, they hang out with. But then there's home life with family, and that's a different crowd of people. A lot of people that are friends of mine don't even know I am a police officer. I just separate that.
So people have a difficulty with separating work from...
Some people like police officers, some people don't. I just kind of leave it, leave it that way.
That's a fair way to put it.
Yeah. So it's different from working here and in your personal life.
Absolutely. Did you find it difficult to separate work from home?
No, I did not. No, I've got too many other things that I do. Being an electrician and a mechanic and a carpenter, I come from a family of workers, and I learned a lot of trades growing up, and that stuff keeps me busy. I have my own shop at my house. I do all types. Right now, like for an example, I'm refurbishing an antique tractor, so from the ground up. Yeah, so I just do stuff like that, work on cars, trucks, stuff like that.
That's really good.
Which is totally different from what I do here.
It really does, yeah. But it sounds like you like working with
Very relaxing to go out in the shop and work on something, yeah.
Yeah, you can just focus on that for the day, and
that's what I do.
Is that what you're going to do for when you retire?
When I retire, yes, but my plans when I retire is I'm going to Florida.
Oh, okay.
Be purchasing land in Florida this summer.
Oh,
down near Panama City Beach. Yes.
Oh.
About 40 minutes from the ocean.
Oh wow! I wasn't expecting that.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be a boat captain.
Really?
I'm going to do boat tours down there.
Boat tours. Oh wow! I wasn't expecting that.
When I married my current wife, she's from down there, and I learned rapidly down there that they don't have enough boats down there to take people out on the water. If you ever go deep sea fishing around the bay, there's always somebody standing in line wanting to go out on a boat.
Yeah.
And they're standing in line for a reason, because there's not enough boats down there to take them out.
Yeah, they're looking for somebody to take them out there.
I want to do that, and I can schedule and do it when I want on my own free will. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
You're definitely going to find people out there.
Yes, year round too.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Year round.
I was imagining a bunch of tours. My family loves going down to Florida, so we've seen a lot of people.
Some people like to go fish. Some people just like to go out on the water. Some people like the tube and, parasail and all that. They do different stuff down there, but the main thing, they like to be out on the water. So that's what I'm going to do. That's a spare time thing.
Spare time thing?
Yes.
I guess the next step from tractors is you're going to be working on boats too. Huh?
Well, it's going to be a new boat, so I'm hoping I don't have to work on it. So
that'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah.
Man. Going back to your current role as for the next couple of days, how often? Well, I guess it's kind of a silly question, but how often would you say you interact with the public?
Every day.
Yeah.
Every single day, and especially working in court services, because always somebody different walking in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes bad people, sometimes good people. It's a mix of everything.
Yeah.
I think the saying I've probably said the most is, when you think you've seen it all. I've said that 1,000,000 times since I started here.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it all. I'll tell you.
There might be somebody coming in tomorrow. Who knows? Right?
You never know. On my last day, you never know.
Do you feel that working with the public has been rewarding?
Yes. It's opened eyes, let's put it that way, because I get to see stuff that the average person will never see in their lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Really true. Really true.
And whether that be good or bad, I will see a lot of things that people will not ever see or even comprehend. Mm-hmm. If I tell family members some of the stuff that I've done on calls and dealt with people, they're just scratching their head going, he's making this up. No, you can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. I firmly believe that.
That's probably the most interesting thing of the job, is that if I was a smart, talented person that could write a book, I could write a real good book about Warren County and my experiences in 26 years.
You want me with your extra time on maybe between the boat and Panama City, you can try doing a book.
Maybe later down the road.
You never know. If this AI stuff really gets off the ground, you can teach
it. Idea.
Well, I know this is a given, but if you look at highly different stories, you can. What are some of the challenges working with the public?
Well, that is a challenge, dealing with the different situation, because you've got to be a very good problem solver. You've got to solve everybody else's problems. That's the main part of this job, unfortunately.
Yeah. Is
I think if we put a meter on here, we're going to be dealing with more bad stuff than we are good stuff. I hate to say that, but in looking over my career, dealt with more bad than good. Yeah.
That just seems to be the nature of things.
Yeah, so that would be what I would say, is that being able to solve other people's problems.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough to do sometimes.
Yeah, with the myriad of things they throw at you guys.
Just when you think you've seen it all. That's the line I've said many times, and it's surprising. And you'd be shocked at ages, family members, friends, and how they will act in situations when they're at their worst.
Mm-hmm.
Quite surprising.
Yeah, it really is. I think of, I don't know, I suppose my grandmother falling and how she acts in response to that.
Well, I've done CPR on people numerous times, drowning victims, car accidents, car deaths. I mean, you just go down the list. I've seen all that. I've done all that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're here for any period of time in Warren County on road patrol, you've seen it and done it.
That's going to be,
Yeah.
True.
I'm sure a lot of people before me sat in this chair have said the same thing.
Yeah, oftentimes. Are there different coworkers that you'd like to highlight their impact on you?
Let's see here. I told you I wrote some notes here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll list some names here.
So you mentioned that Tom Harris had been a part of hiring.
Tom Harris is the one who hired me, the sheriff that hired me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I like Tom Harris. Tom Harris was a good man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I've got it in here. Bear with me a second. I wrote these all down.
No worries. We really appreciate it because usually people
I try to, to cover everything.
I think you must have been the third person to come up with notes in here. Not many people do.
I have to, otherwise I'm not going to remember. Let's see here. And the guys that I work with in the court services division, like I'll throw some names out here. Brendan Culberson, super nice guy. Loved working with him. John Pittman, Andy Stapleton, Mark Lewis. Mark Lewis has been around not too far. He spent less time here than me. He came here in 2006. Brian Rhodes. I got to mention these names because I told him I would. Jake Hall, and okay, let's see, Mark Schultz and Brandon Von Helfeld. Those are the guys I work with in court services. They're a great group of guys. So now they won't give me any static because I didn't mention them.
They won't give you any guff then.
Right. Well, they may still do that.
Sure. Oh, they always will. I did house painting growing up, and any guy you work with, they'll give you crap about anything.
A little bit of hazing here and there.
Makes it interesting. I put, when I was doing some preliminary research, it said that, I believe it mentioned that you worked with Brian Dooley for a minute?
I did. I was hired in the same group as him. Yes, I did. Group. Yes.
Would you like to talk about it now? It's up to you. It's a touchy subject.
I mean, it was a situation. I feel bad for his family, and me and Brian were not real close friends, but I really feel bad for his family and what had happened then. And that's something that hadn't happened many times in Warren County.
No.
I was working the night that occurred. Yeah, I was working in Deerfield. He was up here in County Road Patrol. I was working midnights, as a matter of fact. I think I came in early on overtime when that occurred.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a part of the job, too, that we don't like to talk about, but, it's a part of the job.
It's a part of the job. The last person that happened to must have been, I can't bring his name off the top of my head, but it's on the monument there. 80s?
Yeah, it was the Morrow police officer, I believe, that was before that, and it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
And it happened on Main Street down in Morrow. That was a pretty fresh topic when I started in 99.
Really?
Because I worked with one of the old-time deputies, Willie Pogue, and Willie Pogue was working the night that occurred. He responded to that, so we would hear firsthand knowledge about it and when it happened. And yeah, that's unfortunate. It really is. That young man didn't have a vest on.
Oh, wow.
When he was shot, yeah.
Out of urgency, or?
He was on a traffic stop, and the gentleman in the car was armed and decided to shoot him. Yeah. So, but that one was fresh on everybody's mind when I came in 99. Yeah. There's not been many in Warren County.
No.
Which is good, thank the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that I made it through 26 years, and I've got hurt here and there on my career, but nothing of any major significance. It's been a bumpy road.
Oh, absolutely. Thank goodness for that, though. Is there anybody else you'd like to highlight? You went through your list.
Yeah, there's some older guys that work at the sheriff's office, and they know who they are. The list is long. We've got so many deputies, I'd sit here for an hour and go through the names, but they know who they are.
Yeah.
The Staterman, Brunball, a lot of they're still working here. They were in the old group too. There's a lot of them that are passed. Let's see, Lieutenant Spurlock, he passed away. He was a retiree. Mark Hatfield, he's retired. He's coming back in for my retirement to present me my flag. Lieutenant Mark Hatfield.
Oh.
He was my supervisor on County Road Patrol. So I'm having him come in and present the flag. And I was glad that he accepted it. He's going to come in and do it. There's not too many of the old timers left. Yeah. It was, like I said, it was a different scene back then. New guys were not really accepted into the group of the old regime of deputies.
Yeah.
We got along, we talked, but there was that separation line, old school, new school. Not that it was a bad thing, but it was just, integrating. It was a different time frame at the sheriff's office.
Right.
I don't think that exists now, because I don't think they're hiring in the amount of numbers of deputies now that they were back in the 90s. And that's why.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been how they were hired on if it was just a 10, 15
See,
year
now
difference.
you see scattered hirings, people coming in every year, 2 years, 3 years. Back then in the old days, they hired, and those deputies were there for 15, 20 years. And then rather than hire, they wait till that 20-year mark, and then they hire 45 deputies to come in. And that's basically what happened when I came in. It probably never happened that way again.
No. Maybe not. Yeah, I don't think it will.
I mean, when I started here, every time you come in, there's another new person, there's a new person, there's a new person. It was like that. And it wasn't just the sheriff's office. All of the departments in Warren County when I started were growing and just going in all directions. People were getting hired like crazy.
I knew people coming into this new campus, yeah.
Have you been here a long time?
No, I've not been. Maybe May 23.
Okay. Have you noticed a lot of people coming in and being hired? And probably not so much over here, but in other departments.
Not as much, no. There was a little bit of turnover when I initially started, but beyond that, not a lot.
Our jail's the same way. It's people coming in left and right. Every day I'll go in the jail, I'll take someone to the jail. Who are you? How long you been here? I've been here a month. I was on midnights. That's what I'll normally hear. And then they'll move them to days so they can train. That's when I'll see them. But yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, Warren County's growing.
Yeah.
And it's growing rapidly.
Sure is, especially over in Mason and Franklin, Lebanon. Oh my goodness.
Lebanon ain't like it used to be when I started here. Mason has really grown.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I would say that city's probably been the one that's grown the fastest. And then, of course, right behind them, I'd have to say Hamilton Township, with all the homes that's gone in there. I mean, they had the title of the fastest growing township in Ohio for a number of years.
Did they? I believe it. Right, yep. That's right around that area too.
As I recall, Warren County enacted a thing where they could only sell property in 5-acre increments to build houses on, because they wanted to slow the building going on down there. You haven't heard that?
No, weirdly enough, I haven't, because
Yes.
I've talked to a couple farmers about, just
a lot of
progress.
farms down there sold out, a lot of land.
And it's come up often, yeah.
Yep, and they changed it to where they were selling property in 5-acre tracts to build homes to slow the sales of land.
I wasn't aware they were trying to stem it that way. Interesting.
Yep. If you go down 48 and 22 and 3 down in Hamilton Township, you'll see all these businesses and restaurants and bars. None of that stuff was there when I came here. That was all fields. Nothing. None of those homes, subdivisions, none of that was there. So it's relatively new.
All it is. What do you expect for the future of all this growth?
I see it continuing to grow, because there's a lot of places in the county where it can occur, like in District 4, which is down south. Your Harlan Township, Salem Township, Washington Township, Hamilton Township still got a lot of areas to grow. And with the way the population's going, I see a lot of stuff expanding. I see a lot of change coming.
Mm-hmm.
There ain't no way Warren County's done changing.
No, I wonder about the southeast side. I was wondering about that. What's been your favorite part of your job? When you started versus now, if it's changed.
Well, it's a completely different thing from the beginning. In the beginning, I'd say probably my favorite thing back then was actually getting out here and seeing people in Warren County, and actually, and I don't know how I should word this, but I want to be nice when I say it.
Of course.
Taking criminals down, putting them in jail, because there was a lot of criminal activity going on when I started here. To say we weren't busy would be a lie. We were busy.
Yeah.
Lots of things happening. The village of South Lebanon at that time had their own police department, which was disbanded.
Oh.
And after I started, they had put the sheriff's office in there. So Operation Clean Up South Lebanon, every night was something going on down there. Down in Morrow, Franklin was booming. There was a lot of criminal activity. Probably midway through my career, slowed down somewhat, more population, but a change of regime of criminals, if you will. I would say on the lesser side of crime, yeah, but it was just a different time frame from the beginning. And of course now I'm in court services. I don't work road patrol anymore, so and I'm starting to see those people that I had dealt with in the beginning of my career.
Just as they progress in their own lives.
It's and someone has never asked me this question, but I'll put it out here for you. When I started in Warren County back in the late '90s, I would arrest people. They'd go to jail or prison and be gone for a while. Then in the middle of my career, I was arresting their children. Now at the end of my career, I'll occasionally get someone that is a child of the middle person, so 3 generations. And I've noticed here, and it's been within the last year, I'm getting ready to retire, of course, my last day's Friday. I've run into some of those people that I dealt with in the late '90s that's changed. They're not in jail. It's intriguing because some of them will come up and thank me.
Oh, wow.
What's the odds of that? In the last year of your job, you run into people you put in prison back in the '90s. What's the odds of that?
That's wild.
It is neat.
That's really good.
But I did notice the 3 generations of people. Unfortunately, the cycle hasn't broke with their family, and that's an intriguing part of the job right there.
It is, to see that type of progression.
I'm not the only one that's seen it. There's lots of other guys that would say the same thing.
Okay.
But I just find it interesting that my last year, I keep getting hey, how you doing? I heard you were retired.
Yeah. Wow.
I remember you back in 1999. Yeah, that's something.
Wow. And they remember face, name, and your
yes. We were very intimate with one another during that time frame because I arrested them so many times.
So many.
Yes.
Bar fines, what have you. I got you.
Drugs mainly. I did a lot of drug interdiction. I probably did that for about 12 years.
Cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories in that down that road, but that was the funnest time of the sheriff's office for me. Most dangerous, but the most fun.
As it is, right?
Yeah, I mean, and honestly too, during my time at the sheriff's office, I can say my life has flashed in front of my eyes twice.
That goes to the next question. Would you mind talking about that? Just memorable things.
Yeah, I'll talk about one in particular, in a pursuit of all places down 71 that ended near Kings Island. And I was putting stop sticks out for this vehicle. This was very similar to Deputy Dooley's incident.
Yeah.
I had stop sticks out and I got buzzed by the vehicle. Maybe that close. There's a barrier wall in between the lanes down there, or there was back then. It's not now, but back then there was. That I jumped over. And I'll tell you what, having a vehicle pass you at over 100 miles an hour that close to you will make you think about things.
Yeah.
So that was the one incident, and another one's probably a little bit more worse. I'm working midnights, county road patrol. I get to heading back to the office to finish up my paperwork for the end of the shift, and I see smoke coming out of the house. So I'm like, obviously there's a fire here. Call it in, get out of my car. I'm pounding on the front door because the smoke's coming out pretty good at this point. Front door, can't get it open. I'm pounding on it. It's an old Victorian style house.
Oh.
It's the old wood doors. It's real thick. I'm kicking, doing everything. I can't get this door open. I'm still working on the door when the fire department comes up. They go around, and of course they've got tools. They can pry doors open and that. They go around the back and they make entry into the back of the house. And they're able to put the fire out that's in there. Now, the story of what happened that I didn't know.
Mm.
There was a gentleman in that home that kept his girlfriend hostage all night at gunpoint with a shotgun. She talked him into letting her go. She leaves. He decides, well, that was a bad idea. I probably shouldn't have done that. He takes gasoline, goes through the entire house, douses it with gasoline, goes upstairs, but before he does all that, he booby traps the front door. If I would have made entry into the front door, I would have been dead. He drilled holes all around the front of the door to where the floor was weakened. If I had come in and stepped on the floor, I would have went down into an old basement with no way to get out. Because there wasn't any section down there you could just jump out with a fire going on. So the door was booby trapped. He lit the fire, of course, that went all through the house. He committed suicide in the upstairs bedroom with the shotgun. Now, imagine, if you will, I'm in front of this house, I hadn't gained entry, and the fireman calls you over and goes, hey, by the way, what would you think of that?
I probably wouldn't have processed it.
Talk about your life flashing in front of your eyes. You're thinking, I was putting everything I had into that front door to get it open, and I couldn't get it open.
Yeah.
So, those are the 2 times in my career that stand out.
I don't know if I would have been able to process that initially.
I mean, and I worked midnights when I found that. I was up all day after that thinking about, man, what if I'd have made it in that door?
Yeah. I would be too. Me too.
It was a mess. But that shows you how things can escalate from just out here driving, doing a routine patrol, to a fire, to all that mess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, Warren County's been interesting.
To say the least.
To say the least, it sure has.
On that, is there any highlights you'd like to say?
Those are pretty good highlights right
Highlights,
there.
you
Not
would say?
so good of highlights, but yeah.
Would you like to talk about some of the good ones then? You mentioned some people seeing you again in court services, about how they come up with thank you, which is great.
That I appreciated, I really did, because it was surprising, because I didn't think that anybody would come up and say anything. But very good point there, you know, I did appreciate them doing that. Highlights and stuff, I got to go back to my drug enforcement days. I had fun back then with getting meth labs and all kinds of stuff. I did all that, so it was interesting.
Yeah, doing good over there.
That was back in the heyday of when that was going on.
Mm-hmm. Meth especially, or was there any particular?
During that time frame, meth labs were very prevalent in Warren County, in the southern part.
Southern part.
The #1 area was Goshen. And if you know anything about Goshen, that's on the southern part of Warren County, so it kind of bled into our county, and it was a real problem back then.
Oh.
It sure was.
The whole thing. So I guess there's not a lot of people down
See, a
there.
lot of people go, hey, Warren County, quiet little county, ain't nothing happens in Warren County. Not the case. Not the case.
I believe it. I mean, there's that, I don't know if it's quite as much a stereotype, but an idea of meth labs being in barns. They're there for a reason.
Found them in houses, found them in children's rooms, found them in cars, found them at parks. Yeah.
Parks?
Go to a Caesars Creek Park,
Yeah.
make your meth and dispose of all your stuff in the park and drive away. Why have it at home?
Jeez. That's one way to do it, I suppose.
Yeah. And when you're dealing with people that make meth, you've got anhydrous, and that's a very deadly, deadly thing to deal with. But like I said, a lot of danger involved in it. But that was my most fun time at the sheriff's office, was doing that.
Kept you on your toes, that's for sure.
Yes, it sure does. Working midnights most of my career, I got to see the most interesting people at night. Because there's only 2 types of people out at night.
Mm-hmm.
Cops and criminals. That's it. That's a true statement.
No, my parents, when I first started driving, told me the same thing. Like, when you don't drive past midnight, because
right, because you know no one has any reason to be out at 3 o'clock in the morning driving around town, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. True statement.
It sure is. What's well, I guess we already talked a little bit about how the county is versus now, but
Yep.
So in terms of county government itself, what significant parts of your time here would you like to highlight? Because I mentioned COVID.
Well, I was here during
9/11.
9/11. I was at Mason Court. I remember
Yeah.
exactly where I was when that happened. I was in Mason Court on a case, and they closed the court down that day and sent everybody home.
Wow.
So I was here when that was. Some significant things that happened when George Bush came to town when he was running for president.
Yeah.
We helped with their detail and security. When Trump came, we did the same thing.
Oh.
So just to mention a couple big things, I mean,
Yeah.
there's always something happening in Warren County, but those would probably float to the top.
Wow, yeah, and I remember I'm trying to remember when Trump came to town, because I remember that
He was
somebody
at the
north
fairgrounds is where he was at.
at the fairgrounds.
Mm-hmm. And then Bush was at the Golden Lamb. He gave a speech in front of the Golden Lamb.
Did he? I knew he was here, but I didn't know it was in front of the Golden
Sure
Lamb.
did. That was George Bush Jr.
Junior. Okay,
Mhm.
I thought as much.
Yep.
Was this the first time Trump was going?
Yes,
for?
that's the only time I'm aware that Trump came to Warren County.
Yeah, because he went up north of towards Vandalia, Dayton.
I believe he was on his track back down to Cincinnati when he came to the fairgrounds. There was a lot of people around.
Sure was.
A lot of security. I've never seen so many FBI and Secret Service people in my life.
I believe it, and I was wondering about that
They
because
leave no stone unturned,
no, and they shouldn't.
and they shouldn't.
There was that one guy who rushed the stage while he was doing, that was mentioned in Vandalia, that was towards the Dayton
Right.
airport, I believe.
His people are good, though. They're really good.
That's good to hear.
But you get to see stuff like that, meet with other agencies, and see interesting stuff like that. I'd like to talk to Trump or Bush, but I didn't get close enough to do that.
It's just a lot of people.
Closest I came to them was like 20 feet. They were getting on their bus and they waved at us and went on down the road.
Wow. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a part of history. I mean, you know.
Sure is. There's a picture of him out there, just on a newspaper like that, and you might be.
I might be in the background waving.
Yeah. How was well, I guess there's an interesting question. How was the security detail between the two of them, between Trump and Bush?
Which one was more intricate, or? I'd say Bush's
okay.
was.
Really?
They really put out a lot of people.
I guess that
They had an inner perimeter, an outer perimeter, and a helicopter perimeter.
No kidding.
Airborne the whole time he was there, the helicopters were.
Wow. But what year was this at this point?
Oh, this was when I was in County Road, so it was right in the early 2000s, mid-2000s.
Yeah, that would have done it.
It's pretty neat the way they did it. They had people everywhere. Every intersection, there was a deputy or a police officer, every single one of them. Yeah, it was pretty neat. It was pretty intricate.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. As soon as I said that, I thought, oh yeah, right after the start of the war, yeah, that'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
That'll do it.
Yep.
How did COVID intersect between your court services position?
Well, our sheriff at the time, which was Larry Sims, the one you sat down and interviewed,
Yeah.
when COVID started, a lot of people were wearing the mask and the gloves and the visors and bags on their head and whatever else they could put on, I guess.
Yeah.
We did not wear any of that stuff. The sheriff did not require us to do that, and I'm glad that he did. It wasn't necessary, in my opinion. A lot of people overreacted, but it did have a major impact in operations at the courthouses and stuff. So.
As it would, yeah.
Yeah, and in our jail, there would be a lot of people that get COVID because they're right next to one another. It's kind of hard for them not to get it.
Yeah.
So it did have an impact. Yeah, it did. I'm glad those times are gone.
Yeah. I started just a little bit after that, thankfully, but I remember.
Although you still see people walking around today with gloves, masks, and the visors on, driving in cars. I don't understand it.
Not the car part. It's a weird one. Hey, they can do what they want, but okay.
I guess.
Weird.
But yeah, that did have a major impact.
You guys didn't have a lot of people out sick at all? I'm just curious.
Not really, no. We had a couple that got COVID, but no, we didn't have any as far as manpower issues or anything. No, we were fine.
That's good to hear.
I didn't get it. None of the guys I worked with had it, but I think 2 people in our section did.
Not a lot, wow.
Yeah, not a lot at all. And we dealt with people every day that had it, so we took them to court, we get them from the jail, We transport them from prisons. I mean, and that's the other part that was affected was the prisons because they were on strict lockdown during COVID. I mean, they wouldn't even allow two prisoners to be side by side during that time frame.
Oh. What an odd time to be because part of your job would be transport.
We take people to prisons, bring them from prisons to court. We do a multitude of things. We do writs, we do evictions, we do transport of inmates from to the courthouses to courthouse to jail. I mean, we do all kinds of stuff. Serve warrants. I mean, we don't just come in and stand at the door and say hi. There's a lot more to it than what appears.
At least I hope they gave you a couple slow days towards the coming up here, but
there's a lot involved in it. We move a lot of inmates.
Man, is it just how many at a time at this point? Out of curiosity, is there?
From day to day, it varies. Like I'll give you an example. Today we had 9 inmates to move in the morning for court hearings, and then we had 3 in the afternoon. Now we've had days where we would have 15 in the morning and 20 in the afternoon, and that's a lot of inmates. And we've had a number of days where we've had that. That's all set up by the judges when they bring them over for the court hearings. And holidays, when they're off. It's all logistics, as you well know.
Absolutely, but that's a school bus full of people.
That's a lot of people. It's a lot of trips because we transport in vans.
Yeah.
So our max, we travel, we can take 9 or 10 people in the van. That's about it. So we have to make trips.
More than I expected, but still, that's...
Yeah.
Get over past 10.
And you never know from day to day.
No, you never do. Do you run into any issues of, I suppose people wouldn't try anything, but any issues transporting prisoners? Or?
There's been issues with inmates before, yes, yes. It's every once in a great while, but you always have that one. Yeah. I've had issues. I'm not even going to mention the incident because all the guys I work with will be laughing, but I've had incidents with people in the courthouse before that were problems, that were reporting to probation, and we're not on their medication and not acting right. So we deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens.
It sure does. My mother works in mental health, so she always deals with people who...
People act totally different when they're not on their meds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always do. Sometimes they want to take us, sometimes they don't.
Right. And with our case, with people we deal with that don't want to take it most of the time.
Yeah.
When they're locked up, they're made to take it. When they're out, they don't take it. And that's what brings them back.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah.
How would you say technology has changed throughout the years?
Oh my.
Yeah.
From when I started, everything was written on paper and a notepad. All your charges were done, filling out with a pen. Everything was paper. Paper made the world go around.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the career, we got the MDCs in the cars, and that was kind of tough getting into because they had to work the bugs out of that. Once they got the bugs worked out of that, now they've got so much technology now, you've got to practically be a computer engineer to know how to use all these different applications that they have. I'm lost in a lot of them, but hey, I mean, the cameras that they have set up around town to read plates and stuff, that's in a database. The sheriff's office has databases for entering stuff in. Come a long way from when I started.
Paperwork's a little bit of a understatement.
We did a lot of writing when I started. We carried all our paperwork in the car. It was in the trunk of the car. So when you went to somebody's house, you knew what the call was, so you basically knew what paperwork you needed to fill out. Pop your trunk up and have an index box, grab the forms, take them in with you and fill them out. Yeah. So you'd on average, I would say on average you would have a 6 to 7 page report by the time you went on one call.
One call would do that.
One call. Imagine going on 7 calls for the night.
Yeah.
And having a report for each one, and at the end of the night having to have that done before you leave.
That's what those guys were talking about in the 70s and 80s about how they had to be doing paperwork.
Paperwork had to be done before you left.
Ugh.
And many a times when I started, and that's another thing that was different. When I started here at the sheriff's office, 16-hour shifts were normal. We were understaffed. We ran 3 cars in county road patrol. Now they've got one in every district, a spare, and 2 supervisors. When I started, there was 3 cars.
Wow.
That's it. To run county road patrol 5 districts.
That is wild. We mentioned Paul Weiss before we started. He was just in there for 2 years in the 50s, and he said there was 2 cars then.
Right. Now imagine you're in, and now you got to rely on the next shift that's got those 3 guys. If one of those calls off, one of the 3 stays. And I did that so many times. Worked a lot of overtime when I came here.
Oh.
Yes, because we were understaffed.
The 9 to 5 is much nicer.
Yeah, they let that, all the old timers were leaving, they let that go too long before they started hiring. And then the mad rush of 40 to 45 deputies could not catch up to the manpower issues we were having at the time. So yeah, that's a major change from then to now, where I'm at now. Now we got a lot more people. We're not fully staffed, but we got a lot more people.
How many people would be fully staffed, though? I'm just curious what that number would even look like.
You know what? I don't know what our final count for deputies is. It's got to be close to 100. Yeah, it's got to be. Right, we've got Deerfield post, we got a South Lebanon post, we got the county post, and they're getting ready to put a deputy down in Mainville because Mainville Police Department's no longer there.
True.
So the sheriff's office is going to cover that too. So we're talking a lot of manpower.
A lot of manpower.
Yep.
Mainville's shooting up a little bit too.
Mainville's growing like crazy. It's shooting in all directions in the Hamilton Township and in south of there. They're growing.
Yeah.
All those farms that you were talking about earlier, they're not farms anymore. They're subdivisions,
No.
and they're all going in the village of Mainville. I would say when I come back up here, and I'm not from here, so I live in Claremont County. In 5 or 10 years, I may drive back up here to Warren County, and I'll probably see a totally new Warren County.
It's gonna be wild.
It'll be way more populated. Yeah, that's what I see happening.
I'll probably still be here, so come by if you want.
Well, I'm definitely going to stop here because I love this place.
Hey, it's great to hear, honestly. And I heard you came by with the Silver State Jail.
I did. I crawled under the floors with.
That was you.
That was me.
Floors.
I was underneath all the floor joists, the steps, and climbing in the little pigeonholes in the building. That jail's very interesting, by the way.
Oh,
I mean, it makes you think. You're walking around in there, and it's a solid metal building, basically, inside a stone wall.
Yeah.
And imagine being housed in there as a prisoner back in the day.
Wow.
No air conditioning, no heat going in there. All they had was those little fire boxes. Just think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
That's rough.
It's rough.
Living in cold steel.
Cold steel. We talked to a man by the name of Mike Schaefer.
I know exactly who he is. He used to ride with me.
Really?
He did.
He was one of the people I talked to as well.
He rode with me. Matter of fact, him and I had a pretty interesting call that he rode over me with. I had just met him, and we were riding in District 2 north of Waynesville, and he was my sidekick for the day. And we stop a van with 2 people in it, and I'm talking to the driver, and like I said, I didn't know him very well. And I see him over at the passenger window going like this, and then I see him disappear, then I see him do this, and I'm like, what is he doing? I don't get it. I don't know what he's doing. I'm continuing to talk to the driver and watch them. Well, he comes around the back of the van to me, and he goes, guns. Goes around the other side. So I'm like, okay, high alert, we gotta get him out. Van had multiple AK-47s in it. The driver had a Beretta sitting right here hanging beside his seat.
Oh.
They were on their way to the firing range.
Oh.
They were from another country, not citizens. Shouldn't have had weapons to begin with.
Okay.
They all got arrested, and all of their gear went to the sheriff's office. Yes, and this was just a stop for speed.
Jeez.
But that's the first time that Schaefer rode me. I'm glad you mentioned that name. That was the first time he had rode with me.
That's wild.
Yeah.
He runs into.
They had like 1,900 rounds of ammunition in that van.
Oh. From a different country of all places?
They were from another country. They were not citizens here.
Shooting down here for.
Said they were on their way to the firing range, which I don't know. Do you believe it? Do you not? I don't know.
A firing range. Well, I mean, define a firing range, I guess.
But that's the kind of stuff you would find back then.
Wild.
That was a while back. That was when I was in County Road. So you're talking mid-2000s.
Yeah, he was. Schaefer's talking about how he would ride along a little bit from.
He mainly rode with Deputy Broomball. That's who he rode with all the time. But that particular day, he rode with me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was an interesting day.
Yeah, he was talking about the Silver Street Jail for a little bit. How
he is a knowledgeable guy about Warren County because he lives in Warren County. And I don't know if he's from Warren County, but he worked at Kings Island. He was a tech guy over there for them and worked on stuff that they had. Super nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he's doing now. I haven't seen him in a while, but
I believe he's part of a retirement community south towards Mason.
Oh, okay.
From here, he was last I heard, I put him in contact with somebody talking about the Xenia tornadoes because he had gone on site there of all times.
He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, I'll tell you. He's
Very
super
nice
guy.
Oh my goodness, talk my ear off for sure.
Loves to talk, but then again, the old timers, like a lot of them like to talk.
Sure do. Is there any bits of parts of the Silver Street Jail you found more interesting than others?
I love antique stuff, so as soon as I heard they were going to go through that jail, I had to say, hey, I want to be a part of that. Because I love doing that. I grew up, my dad was big into that. Yeah. And my dad used to have a demolition company where he would tear down houses and stuff. And he would tear down old houses. And he would always say, son, this is what you look for. This is where you look in a house if you want to find coins. This is where you look at in the basement if you want to find stuff. And he'd tell you little tricks of the trade. Back in the old days, people didn't like banks. They kept their money hidden.
Yep.
The old houses had windows that had weights on them. Well, people would cut holes in the side of their little trapdoor and they would hang their money on those weights, close it back up, and that's where they would hide their money.
You're kidding.
I don't know how many times my father would walk over to an old house he was tearing down and go, come here and look at this. And he would find the little trapdoor and find a bag of coins. He'd go, somebody put this in here years ago because they didn't trust the bank.
Yeah.
And he would find stuff like that all the time.
That's wild.
He found old World War II toys. One of them I still have at home. He would find coins, dollars, old dollars. I mean, you name it, he found it. Rings, and then the weirdest places and houses. So I've always been around that, and when I heard about that at the jail, I was like, I gotta go. It was kind of disappointing to learn that some people had already been in there looking around.
That's
because I was wondering, did they find everything? And
it's just a little rough because it's just a revolving government office there.
Lieutenant Henry, he's the same way over in the jail. I don't know if you've met him.
I don't believe I met him.
He likes going through stuff like that too. And me and him did a very, very detailed search of that jail. We crawled into places that I went into one place into the jail that he would not go into. Above the jail is a little window. It's about that wide, about that tall, and it's got a steel door on it. It's in the attic where the stove's located. Well, that goes in and opens up, and it's above the old jail, which is a metal roof, and you cannot access that from the jail. The only way you can access is to go through that hole. Well, I stick my head through this hole, and my shoulders, of course, are hitting. I'm really, really tight fit. Yeah. I look down, and there's a ladder down about 7 feet below the opening. So I tell Henry, hey, help me slide through this. I'm going to drop down to that ladder, and I'm going to go in here and see what's in here. Oh, no, we can't do it. It's too dangerous. We stood around for 20 minutes arguing about this, and I'm like, I can't leave. I got to go in there. Because looking in there, I could see stuff that you guys would want to put in the archives. I can see it. I just can't get to it yet. Well, wouldn't you know, I squeezed my butt through that hole. And I dropped down to the ladder. It was a handmade chicken ladder. Went down to the top of that jail, and I found an old electrical arrestor where wires wrap around. They're made out of glass.
Yep.
They're real old. They got it in here somewhere. Some crates that had company names on them that were used to carry the bricks up to put those walls up.
Yeah.
Were sitting in there.
Is that where I went through the collection myself?
Did you see the boxes?
Yeah, I did.
I found those through that hole that I climbed through getting in there. Nobody would go in there but me. Couldn't get anybody on the whole team to go in there. I'm like, I gotta go. I was like, if I get stuck, call the fire department.
Right.
But that's how you find stuff in there, is by doing that. And that was the only way in.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot, and
It's pretty. I haven't seen it since you guys got it over here. I don't know if they put it in a cabinet. I know they did. They sprayed it to keep it from getting mildew on it and something else. But I'm gonna have to check it out later on when they get it all set up.
We're hoping to put it in later on this month. I'm hoping, or rather later on in March, I'm hoping to put it in like proper housing. We still have it in the evidence bags, but we went through much of it and we're like, wow, that looks pretty. Like the blanket that was found,
Right.
the belt that was found.
The belt, I found the belt. It was in two pieces. It was behind a retaining wall in a cubby hole. Now, how it got there, I have no idea. The old bottles that were found, I found that climbing through a cubby hole behind the wall. There was a pair of jeans or uniform pants that I found too. They should be in there as well. And they really look like a correction officer pants, like a female's pants. So they bagged them. And I found them in the weirdest places. Alcohol containers. Why I was finding alcohol containers in the jail, I have no idea, but they were down there.
I'll assume it's the residence side of things.
It might be. It might be. It was down in the basement where I found those items. But and I was hoping that we would find some more sheriff's office connected stuff. But who knows how many times the building's been picked over.
That's the rough part of it, because Veterans Services was there for a minute.
Right.
And
over the years, how many people went in there and searched and found things that we'll never know what they found. Because I'm sure that's what happened.
That's what happens a lot with some of these old houses.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to check my...
But that's another highlight from my career, if you want to count that. I love doing that. It was fun. Apparently, they're going to go through the courthouse, too, here soon. I volunteered to go up in the tower. Nobody wants to go up there for some reason. I don't know.
I believe Tori on the front desk has some pictures of the tower. It's another skinny old ladder.
Right. I'll go right up and check it and see what's up there. There might be some writing up there. There might be newspapers up there from back in the days. There could be anything that somebody dropped when they were up there.
Yeah, bring a camera. I believe they were up there before I started in 20, something like that. We had found we as an archives had found like an old hatchet that was used maybe in the construction shop for all we knew.
I mean, that's so cool.
But I think only one other person went up there and took a quick picture, but beyond that, we don't have a whole lot.
I'd like to get underneath the floors of the courthouse and then some of the back areas. Because that's where you're going to find coins.
Oh, absolutely.
And you might find newspapers in the wall, because in the old days, newspapers was insulation. People would just take them and put them in the wall and close it up. I found a lot of newspapers like that in buildings.
I believe it. They made it out of different stuff back before the 70s there.
Yep. That's an interesting building, too.
Yeah.
So I told her when they get ready to do it to let me know.
Yeah. We'd love to see what you can find. Man, there's some... I gotta check my family's moving out of their old house, too, and that was built in the 1880s, too. So we're going to have to check that now, too.
My house is quite interesting, too. Like I said, I'm from Claremont County. My house used to be a schoolhouse.
Oh.
Built in 1850.
Wow.
And I just found out an interesting tidbit about my house. My house is where the first county fair was held in Claremont County. It was on my property at the schoolhouse.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And I found this out eating at a restaurant, of all places. It's in Monroe Township in Claremont County. And I'm sitting at this little hamburger joint. There's all these pictures on the wall. And I see this newspaper clipping with a picture of it. And I'm like, man, that looks like my house. So I get up and walk over to it. It is. And it's identifying it as the schoolhouse, number 3, Franklin Schoolhouse number 3, which is my house. And then it goes into detail talking about how the first county fair was there. And I was just blown away. What would be the odds of me sitting in a restaurant out in the country in a little hamburger joint and finding that?
That is wild. And I wonder how much stuff like that is that in Warren County too? Just looking around at somebody's.
I tell you, that type of stuff really interests me just for that reason. The stuff that you find, it is interesting.
Yeah.
Well, not to take off topic from the sheriff's office here. I kind of wandered off a little bit, but that's all right, I guess.
No worries. It's all we're talking about history here too. Mentioned the jail there, so we're good. On the sheriff's office, what would you say is the most important thing you've learned working down there?
The biggest lesson I've learned here at the sheriff's office: to be patient with people. Patience is the number one thing, because with dealing with all the different types of people, Everybody's different. Just slow down and have patience. That's what I've learned.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that's some good advice. A
Yep.
good lesson to take away from.
I say that to some of the new guys that come in, but you know, our new guys now are different than when I was a new guy back in the day. Different generation, different way of thinking right now with the new guys that are coming in. Is it bad? Is it good? I can't necessarily say I agree with the way they are coming in, but hey, that's only my opinion.
Do you think some of the guys would have said the same thing when you were coming in?
I know they would have said the same thing because that was old regime. And when I say old regime, those were guys that were working over on Silver Street and were in that regime of people. And stuff back then didn't work the way when I came in.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they would say the same thing, yeah.
Man. What advice would you give them today?
For the new person,
Mm-hmm.
well,
New employees coming in?
caution them for one, because crime is not getting any better. If anything, it's getting worse, and it's getting into younger people rather than them waiting to get older like back in my day before they commit crimes.
Mm.
You're seeing kids now committing heinous crimes.
Mm.
You didn't see this back then. I've noticed over my span of my career a vast change in the degree of crimes that are being committed and the age of the people that are doing them.
Huh.
That's appalling, yes, but noticed it. Even here in old sleepy Warren County.
Interesting. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have imagined the age would have been a major factor.
And the young people of today that are doing this criminal stuff and activity have no respect for authority. And you just didn't see that when I came in. That was not common. That was uncommon. You've seen a few, but uncommon. Now it's common to see kids being disrespectful and not respecting anybody's authority.
Wow.
When I was a kid growing up, if I saw a police officer, that was the coolest thing. High five, hey, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Kids see cops today and flip them off. And it's just ungodly the change that from then to now.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's just
And the
exposure.
parents today teaching kids, don't talk to him. He put your daddy in jail. Don't talk to him. I've had that said many times on calls, but that's the difference from now to back then. Yeah.
Wow.
Hate to say it, but yeah, that's what I've noticed.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Shame to hear. Shame to hear.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's just how I was exposed to it growing up. Like I mentioned, I had a friend growing up, I slept over at their house, and their father was a SWAT guy.
Ah.
So, yeah.
So you
different
was
breed.
intrigued by that,
Oh, it's,
because they got some pretty cool stories.
he's got some good stories. A little brutal, but
Right.
good stories.
I have two daughters. I got a 25-year-old and a 17-year-old. The 17-year-old's always asking me, Dad, what's it like being a deputy? What's it like doing this and that? I'm like, you don't want to do this job. I wouldn't want her to do this job because, like I said, it's a lot different than when I started. It's a dangerous job during any of those times, but it's just more dangerous nowadays, in my opinion. There's a lot more for kids to get into today than there was when I started.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Easier to get into things, too.
Easier to get into things, easier to access things. Now you got your computer in your hand all the time.
Yeah, something as simple as people figure out how to get into Kia cars all of
Yep.
a sudden becomes a huge thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's absolutely right.
Man.
Mm-hmm. Technology. We go back to that again.
Oh goodness. I was that is one thing I was wondering is there any sort of drug technology that's changed while you were like identifying it?
You know, the
maybe in
labs
store?
are more, there's a lot more labs now to test these drugs, because we send all our stuff to BCI, but that place has grown. It was hardly anything when I came in. It was minimally staffed. Now you send something out, you're usually pretty quick in getting back. Yeah, and then all the different types of stuff they test now. There's drugs now that weren't around when I started. Like an example would be khat, which is a plant that grows, and it's the same as an amphetamine. And in Africa, it's prevalent in Africa, it grows there, but people ship it in the mail to the United States.
Yeah.
And if you take a piece of that and chew on it, it's a straight shot into your system.
Yeah,
It acts just like an amphetamine. And that was kind of big in the mid-2000s. But, you know, labs can test that stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, they would have been like, what? What's that?
Right.
People come up with different stuff nowadays for drugs, too, so.
Mm-hmm. In order to get undercover, I suppose. Wow, that's bizarre. I don't even think I've heard
It's
of
changed
that.
a lot since I was here, yeah.
Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least the lab's up and running pretty quickly for you, but my goodness.
Yeah, they get massive amounts of stuff too. You figure all of Ohio sends stuff to BCI, and they're pretty quick in getting stuff back. They don't do too bad. But when I started here, you would wait for a longer period of time because they didn't have enough people.
Yeah, and it'd be a minute to ramp up too with the amount of folk.
Everything growing, yep. Uh-huh.
Oh. Is there any additional story you'd like to highlight?
Well, I'm trying to think here. I don't want to ramble on for too long, but I just think this whole thing here is a great idea. I didn't know you guys did this.
Oh, we try to. It's a
And
little
it's
rough.
really neat because can people access this? That's at home if they want to look this up.
We have it all on YouTube. Yeah, I've been trying to do. I have a playlist specifically for the sheriff's office and county jail for people to look at.
Because it'd be interesting to look. Well, I'd like to see Tom Harris's.
Yeah.
Just to get a different perspective of the time frame. That's really cool stuff you're doing here.
It's really cool.
It is.
Tori before me did Tom Harris interview, and I've listened to it a number of times. He went on for a while, just so you know.
Well, he likes to talk. He's the one who hired me into the sheriff's office. That was my first boss. I like him. He's a nice guy. I see that his uniform's here.
Yeah, his uniform was, oh goodness, I wasn't sure, because after he passed, it got requested back from us to them, because it wasn't officially accessed, and I believe he was buried in it, if I recall.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct.
Yeah.
And that one had everything on it except for one thing. I believe there was one thing missing on that. It might have been his badge. But there was one item on the uniform that wasn't on there.
Oh,
that he took with him.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember which item it was. It might have been his badge.
I
saw it hanging back there when I came through last time and did a tour.
Mm-hmm.
Did Larry Sims do the same thing?
No, I don't believe he did. You never know. You might. Well, he's probably up towards Delaware County right now with his family, so I don't know if you want to do that or not.
Yeah, I didn't know if he did or not. I watched this interview this morning. It was pretty interesting. But yeah, this is a great idea. I love this.
Of course, I'm glad you enjoyed it so far. You're doing pretty well on time too. Only an hour 12, so it's not
really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not doing too bad at all. Yeah, any different stories you'd like to throw in?
Nah, I kept pretty much the highlighted ones there, but I mean, I could go on all night telling about stuff that people would not believe, but that's just a part of the job, I guess.
It sure is.
My friends at home will tell me that didn't happen. Yeah, it did. Some of them I can't tell because they're not tasteful, let's put it that way. I mean, you deal with people like that, and stuff happens, but...
Pick and choose what stories to tell, sure.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I kept the main ones.
I got you. Alrighty. Well, if that's the case, I guess I'll conclude the interview. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for talking.
Alrighty.